But unlike many others, she did not let her disability become her and rose above it. Her immense courage and drive allowed her to push through the difficulties she faced. It led her to become one of the most renowned quadruple amputee athletes today. Last year, she completed the TCS 10-kilometer marathon in 1 hour 35 minutes. She is also an avid blogger and public speaker and hopes to raise awareness for disabled people. Recently, she had the honor of being awarded the Iconic Woman Award by the ladies' wing of the IMC Chamber of Commerce and the Rashtriya Swayam Siddha Samman. It is an honor to welcome Shalini Saraswathi, who will talk about her journey. I chose Wings to Rise Up instead.
There were a lot of things that I wanted to become in my life. Being disabled wasn't one of them. But it is one of the things that I have become today. It's been a journey to get to this point where I'm almost not apologetic about it and even to some extent proud about it. Today when I stand in front of you, confident and not really worried about you staring at my scars or my limblessness, it hasn't been easy to get to this point today. It's been a long and hard journey. I studied in Bangalore. I grew up in Bangalore, and I started working immediately after my graduation. I was one of those people that started working in about 2000, and just after my graduation, I joined the BPO industry while it was in its nascent stages, and I worked my way up the calendar. In 2008, I met and married my husband, Prashant, and I think we were leading a life that most of it would describe in India as very settled and quite successful. In 2012, I think we were at a great place in our life. We'd recently bought a home, we were expecting our first child, we were both doing very well with our careers. To some extent, I think things were a bit too perfect, and maybe that were the first signs of something going wrong. I contracted a very rare bacteria in 2012 on a trip from Cambodia. It's called rickettsial with moths. And what it did was it took me through this whole almost life-threatening, life-endangering experience. All I remembered was getting into the hospital and waking up 7 days later after a long hiatus. And when I did wake up, I saw that both my legs and arms had turned a blue-black. All my blood vessels at that point in time had clotted, and I think we were repeatedly told at every point in time that amputation was our way forward. But I guess as a family, we didn't think that that was what we wanted to do, and that was what we wanted to be. And we, true to my Malayali roots, we went back to Ayurveda and we tried everything that we could. In March of 2013, this hand got fractured and had to amputate this one. In August of 2013, about 6 months later, while I was having a casual conversation with my brother-in-law, the rest of this hand just fell off me. That was probably a sign for me to probably move on, and we decided that there was no hope, or there was no point in actually waiting for that miracle to happen, and we let go of the legs in September 2013. Nothing in my life really had prepared me for any sort of these uncertainties ever. Nothing in your life ever prepares you for it. And I struggled for the longest time trying to understand why this happened with me. What did I do to deserve it? I struggled with a lot of questions. How long do I stay a burden? How long before my family or the people that look after me get really tired of looking after me? What am I going to do with my life? What does my future really look like? Am I ever going to work? Do I ever figure out what the purpose of my life is? Would death be a better option than what I'm going through at this point in time? And also the biggest question, what really happens to me once my mom no longer exists? But, these questions don't really go away. And they, I guess, over a period in time, the frequency with which you think about them reduce. And it also comes, I guess, with acceptance. It comes with being okay with your disability, becoming okay with the place that you are in, and accepting life as it is. And I think for me, the click in my head also came through when I was watching Kung Fu Panda 2. And if you watch the last part of it, there's Shen, who's the evil guy, and he makes a statement to Po, and he says, "How could you find inner peace when I scarred you for life and I destroyed you?" And Po, very matter of fact, shrugs his shoulders and says, all that matters is what you choose to become now. I know I didn't have a choice with my disability, but I refuse to let disability drive my fears and drive my life forward. What really helped me to get to this point has been a couple of things. The first is definitely running. And, you know, I didn't really plan on wanting to run. Like, you know, I had lost all my limbs. It wasn't an aspiration. It wasn't even something that I ever saw myself doing. To be honest, it was sheer vanity, and I wanted to lose weight. And that was the only reason why I decided to do anything about it. But when I started out and I met my coach accidentally, and my initial goals were just to do basic things, like I wanted to walk a few steps, I wanted to sit on a chair and get up, I wanted to climb a few stairs, you know, and not really waddle like a duck. I think that was all. I was looking very exterior. But along the line, I began to enjoy it. I began to enjoy the adrenaline rush. I began to enjoy the push that it gave me. I've always said that running gave me the wings that I probably thought I had lost. When coach spoke to me about running 10 kilometers, I really honestly thought he was mad at that point in time. Because here I am with no limbs and you want me to run 10 kilometers. But when I did decide to, it just changed something within me, which I can't really describe. And I ran the first one in 2016, and I did an awful job, and I covered it in 2 hours and some 10 minutes. And then I had to absolutely redeem myself all over again because I knew I could do better, and that was how I ran last year. And I did it in 1 hour and 35. But for me, I think running more than anything else also gives me multiple opportunities to point my non-existent finger into the sky and tell the person up there that they chose to mess with the wrong person. Running gave me strength, it's given me confidence, it's given me discipline, and more than anything else, I think it made me come back to the person that I was. Secondly, I think what it did for me as well, not the running part, now I'm getting messed up with the screen and all of this going on. The second thing that really helped me out was being able to get back on my feet in my job. Now, when I took a break from work, I took a break from about April to June when I was really sick. And then I started to work from home while I was sick. So I would be on my little laptop with my hands, which were like, probably I would describe it as dried wood at that point in time. I would still continue to work on my laptop. And I think I took a break for about, after my surgeries, I took a bit of a break. But even during the breaks that I had, I think I threw myself into things that I could do. I read voraciously. I learned classical music. I discovered that I could write. And I filled my time with things that I could do rather than focus on the things that I could not do. When my organization called me back for the job and they gave me a completely different job that I was doing, and it was a much junior role, I didn't even think twice about it. I took it up because I felt that I just needed something to do. Slowly but surely, we made the transition from 2 hours to 4 hours to working full-time, and today I work full-time with the organization called Firstsource. Working gave me something to do. It gave me something to keep my head occupied, but it also gave me a sense of being back on my feet. Very expensive feet, but nevertheless, I'm still back on my feet. Thirdly, I think it was about being surrounded by people that you love, whether you were limbless or not. I think nobody wanted to give up on me, and nobody, I think, in my support system ever felt the need to resign to my fate. I think we were all heading in the same direction, wanting to make this work for us. My mother very constantly has, I have this word ringing in my head from time to time, when she said in Malayalam, "Angane nammal thottu kodukkan paadilla, jeevichu kanikkanam," which basically loosely translates into you don't really give up and you show how you live it up. And that's what we did. I was recently at this, the para meet. I run 100-meter sprints now. I stopped running 10 kilometers because I thought it was really difficult. And I participated in Haryana now. And when I was there and there was practice going on, and it was a previous day, so there's lots of people, there are lots of para athletes in there. I noticed one boy who was in a wheelchair, and I think he had cerebral palsy, and he was in a throw event. So he had this little Pepsi bottle, 300 liter, and he had filled it up with mud. And what he would sit is on the wheelchair, and he would throw the bottle. He came along with his mum. His mother was probably about, I would put her at about 60, 65, very old. You know, she really looked, she was very old. But what they would do is, for about 45 minutes, you know, he would throw, and the mother would walk up, pick up the bottle, and come back to him over and over again. And it got me really thinking that, you know, what really motivated them to make that travel, to go through what they're going through for a sports event. The next day, I noticed another mother who was very nicely dressed in a cotton sari. I think it was the woman in me that saw the sari first. But, you know, she had this determination about herself. She had a son with him who suffered from ataxia. Now, the para event was badly organized, might be an understatement. So, you know, you basically had to walk around a lot, you had to get a lot of information, and it wasn't the easiest thing for anyone to do. But this mother was very determined, and she had this smile on her face, she had a son in her hand, and she would walk around getting this whole thing, trying to fix this. I was in the stands when the son did run the 100-meter sprint, and she stood with her sari tucked up at the 50-meter mark. And she screamed, she cheered her son, and the last 50 meters, she even ran with him. He came third. But in that moment, it was the Olympic medal running out there. And for me, and I think that's what got it for me, that what made it possible for those boys and what made it possible for me today has been the fact that someone really believed in me, and someone was willing to place that bet on me. Next slide. Next slide. All right. So if we were to change this around and really ask the question, for me, I think one being the Blade Runner, it helps have conversations about disability. Because when I'm wearing my blades, I'm out. I have a lot of people that walk up to me and ask me why my blades look the way they do. I had a boy who turned around and told me once, who looked at my blades and says, I want shoes like that. And you know, you're there, and I have children who walk up to me and ask me why my arms look the way that they do. And I think what this does is it brings disability out in the open, which is where it belongs. It anchors disability in the place that it needs to exactly be, where we're not really uncomfortable about having these conversations. I'm here to really plant a thought more than anything else, that what if people with disabilities are no longer apologetic about the persons that they've become today? What if able-bodied people found the right words to say to us? What if I walk into a lift and I had a stranger walk in the same lift as me, didn't stare at my arms and smile politely and had a conversation about the weather? These are aspirations, obviously. But more than anything else, I think the world today, I've always believed that it's about yin and yang. It's always about survival of the fittest. The world is always balanced. So then you can always ask the question that why did disability come into the world? Because it is an aberration. I believe that disability has come into this world for more than anything else, so that we could be more human, because we could figure out what the next new normal is, and hopefully that we can all embrace our differences with blades, no blades, or any kind of disability. Thank you.